Now, this is really interesting. Could you find it in yourself to forgive someone that killed a loved one? Or would you be able... No, I mean, it's a really interesting debate.
I'll answer that now easily. No.
I think I could, but I don't know. I
Really?
hope I never find out. I don't know, but I think I maybe could. Look, the former South African Olympic athlete, Oscar Pistorius, who, of course, famously, horrendously or infamously shot and killed his former girlfriend...
Couldn't forgive him.
9 years ago, he's set to meet with her father through the restorative justice programme. This is where victims and perpetrators are brought together in order to heal and move on from a crime.
But anyway, it's got a lot of you wondering, how easy would it be to forgive and forget? Jacob Dunne, we're going to introduce you to now. Jacob, if we can see him, there he is now. There's Jacob. Good morning, Jacob. Jacob.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Not at all, Jacob. We're fascinated to hear your story and the restorative justice scheme. Jacob, you killed a paramedic or a trainee paramedic, and his name was James Hodgkinson. It was in a fight, and, you know, we can go into that and we can talk about the detail, but, you know, you then go on to befriend that man's mother, James' mother, through this restorative justice programme, and you are now a restorative justice campaigner. Fascinated to hear your story and fascinated to know what it was like to meet that man's mother and how tense the initial meeting may have been.
Yeah, just to include that I was also met James's father as well. Okay. And we spoke through mediation for about 2.5 years before we actually felt ready to meet face to face. And in that 2.5 years, I laid out my plans for changing the error of my ways, doing the best that I can to repair the harm that I caused with a single punch, which I'll never be able to do. But, you know, the best thing I can do is to try. And that's what I've been doing for the last 10 years.
Well, I mean, no one can but applaud you for doing that. A brave thing to do, and well done for doing it. But I'm interested in taking us back, if you don't mind, to the day of the fight with James. You know, how quickly you realised that you had cost someone their life, and how quickly that anger turned to remorse. Was that a slow thing for you, or was it instant?
It went from anger to remorse quite quickly, actually. As I said early on in my process, I felt like I was the one that was unfortunate, which I think you find a lot of the time in the criminal justice system, the population, that, you know, they're hard done by, and they've been dealt a bad set of cards, which, you know, probably is a fair assessment for many people in there. But that still doesn't give you the right to feel as if you're a victim and that you don't need to be accountable for your actions. And so that was the wake-up call for me, thankfully, was hearing the courage of James's parents to say, you know what, we want to hold you account. We want to reclaim our power. And that was it, really. That's where it all started, the main shift for me.
So James, you spent 2 years... you know, before that meeting with the parents, Jacob, before you met James's parents, and you obviously built up a relationship with them and they decided that they wanted to meet you and to forgive you. Walk us through the moment you met them, you looked into their eyes. What were the words that you said to them? What was James's mother's response to you?
From the very start, I've always said that I didn't want to look them in the eyes and say, sorry kind of seems like it's not good enough, and so I looked them in the eyes when we met eventually, and just told them that I will always continue to do what I have already been doing, and that I will respect their wishes throughout the whole process, and continue to do what I was doing.
Did you mean to kill their boy? For that split second, was it in your mind, I want to kill you, I want to inflict the optimum amount of harm on you? How and why did he die? What did you think? You just wanted to strike him, or what happened? What went wrong?
Well, unfortunately, which is the case with a lot of young men involved in like group gang culture, or when you've just had too many to drink, your friend gets in a little bit of an argument with someone, and you feel like it's your responsibility to protect your friend, or to try and. I think what I was aiming to do was to try and get a bit more respect and acknowledgement from my friends via supporting them with violence. Which is completely irrational and makes no sense to anybody listening. But unfortunately, we have that peer pressure within a lot of young men where they feel that they have to do that. So it was more of a symbolic act, the punch itself.
I mean, well explained, Jacob. Well explained. But you've made peace with the parents, right? Have you made peace with yourself? I mean, you will always have to live with this. Where are you at in judging yourself over this?
It's a continual, ongoing process, to be honest. Sometimes I feel awful and overwhelmed. And other times, I have good days where, it might not, I might not think about it too much, but it's always kind of there looming in the background. And I just try to use it as a positive tool now, as to kind of, give me motivation, as opposed to make me depressed. But it's a fine balance, I guess.
If you hadn't have met James's parents, if they hadn't have forgiven you, do you think that you would have been able to get yourself back on your feet after this tragedy?
I like to think that I had enough about me, and my mother instilled enough good values within me growing up to make the right decisions eventually. But it's difficult to say, really. I don't think I was on a trajectory where much good was going to come. So I'm just grateful that I was able to no longer harm myself or anybody else moving forward, and I've broke the cycle of violence and incarceration that so many people get stuck in.
Respect you for talking to us today. People will have their own views. You've stated your case very, very well, Jacob Dunne. Thank you very much indeed for your time and your story this morning, and obviously in remembrance still of James Hodgkinson, who died in 2011, and his parents. Our condolences to them. GB Views at gbnews.uk. You can tweet us at GBNews.